how a bit of bell ringing history is being reenacted tomorrow. 6 people are going to be ringing something called Stedman. I think it's Cinques, as in the French word cinq, on handbells at St Margaret's Church in Leiston. They're going to be ringing non-stop between 10 and 1 o'clock. The person who can tell us more is John Lovelace. He's a bell ringer, originally from Suffolk, interested in the whole history of bell ringing, particularly handbell ringing as well, I think. So, John, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
No worries. And have I pronounced it right? Is it Stedman Cinques?
It's actually pronounced Stedman Cinques, but okay. I suspect it's one of these things where there isn't a proper pronunciation that's agreed.
Okay. It looks like because Cinques is 5, I think, in French, isn't it, the word? But anyway, so Stedman...
Yeah, it's actually 5 pairs of bells. It's a bit obtuse. I suggest we move on from it.
Well, that's why. It's obviously the original French name. So tell me all about this, because this first happened by the Bailey brothers in 1921.
Yeah, that's right. The Bailey brothers are a Leiston family of nearly all of them learnt to ring, 11 of them, in fact. They also did other things as young men, particularly. They were into sport and quoits and gymnastics and all sorts of things, territorial army. But they nearly all learnt to ring, and they established a ringing tradition at Leiston over a lot of years because their ages spanned 26 years. So when the oldies got old, the young ones were still there. And they nearly all worked at Richard Garrett and Sons, which was one of the largest firms of agricultural engineers in the eastern counties. And they all learnt to ring on the 8 bells in the tower at St Margaret's Church, Leiston, and they developed their skills over a lot of years, particularly what they're ringing tomorrow, which is quite complex.
And what they're ringing is handbell ringing tomorrow as well, which they also did, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They did tar bells and handbells. There was a bit of a celebration of the tar bells about a week ago, and one of the granddaughters, actually, of one of the Bailey family, the ringers, actually came along and was there and witnessed the occasion. Tomorrow, 6 of us from a long way away are going to be ringing the 12 handbells, 2 each, and it'll take us just over 3 hours. What happens is that this is pretty heavyweight stuff. There aren't many people who do this, and you have to devote a lot of time to it to get proficient. So I've pulled people in tomorrow from Norwich, from Ely, it's myself from Bedfordshire, and 2 people from Chichester, would you believe, and 1 from Oxfordshire. So they're very well travelled, but obviously I need people who can do the job on the day, because we're hopefully going to have a big audience.
And so they set a precedent, really. And you're just trying to reenact it. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. I saw this in some papers I came across about 18 months ago, and thought, oh, that's really interesting. And then I realised, of course, the 100th anniversary was coming up, and maybe it was something we could mark. So hence the occasion tomorrow.
And so a lot of you have had to do a lot of rehearsing.
Yeah, we don't all rehearse together. We rehearse in bands of ringers all over the country, wherever we reside. But when we come together, we can fairly quickly get into the groove with the team we're ringing with. So that's what we're doing tomorrow.
So I know people can come along. So, but I mean, you do this non-stop. So do you have music? Because I know handbells. I mean, it means you've got a different bell in each hand. So it's going to take quite a lot of concentration, isn't it?
It's pretty brain-bending stuff. It's not really for the faint-hearted, but it is highly skilled, and it sounds absolutely beautiful. It'll sound lovely in the church at Leiston. We'll be in the Lady Chapel, which means the sound will float around the church beautifully. So we're really looking forward to it.
Do you call it a peal? Is it? Do you still have quite a lot of the same terminology between handbells and and the church bells?
Yeah, there's not really a differentiation between handbells and church bells, apart from church bells. Each person rings 2 bells normally. Church bells is 1 bell per person because of the weight of the bell, and on handbells you ring two bells per person. But the important thing is the sound that comes out at the end of the day. So obviously 2 handbells is fairly complex mentally, whereas on tar bells it's more complex or tougher physically.
And did they do it with handbells as well as church bells?
Yeah, they rang both. They learnt to ring tar bells, and then eventually they started to ring handbells as well. And they gradually increased the number who rang tar bells competently as they got older. And you can imagine in a place like Leiston, they would have had quite a lot of scope for investing lots and lots of time in coming to the church to do what they were trying to do, encouraged by other people. And it wouldn't happen these days because our lifestyles are much more fluid, of course.
So Stedman Cinques is quite an unusual and quite a record to hold. So no one's done this since they did it, as far as we know.
On handbells, it's been done a few times. On tarbells, it's been done a lot of times, but it's never been done by a family. That's the real distinguishing factor.
Isn't it fascinating? So if people want to come along, it's happening tomorrow. It's St Margaret's Church in Leiston. You get underway at 10 o'clock? Yeah,
10 o'clock, and there'll be a display for people to have a look at some of the history. You can listen to the ringing for as long as you like. All we ask is that we have a lot of peace and quiet, because there's going to be a lot of concentrating going on in that lady chapel.
If you make a mistake, will you carry on?
Well, hopefully we won't make a mistake that's fatal. We're normally able to correct any mistakes we get as we go along, but obviously it's a little bit more difficult when you've got a big audience, because we're under more stress.
Well, I think
my team are cool, but they'll be fine.
I'm nervous for you now. I think it sounds an amazing. Good luck. I hope it goes really, really well. And John, thank you so much for letting us know all about it.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
No worries. You take care. So we must try and get there, mustn't we? So this is at St Margaret's Church in Leiston tomorrow between 10 and 1 o'clock, non-stop ringing by 6 ringers, the Stedman Cinques on handbells. And a big thank you to John for telling me more about it. I'm sure you'll be able to read more as well if you look at the suffolkbells.org.uk, the Guild of Ringers, their website as well.